America with 3 Ks, which when we was in Mississippian state, it was just Mississippian territory. And then after we fell from that, it became the ancient Egypt that you know of today. When they speak about ancient Egypt from Mississippian territory, this North America with 3 Ks turned into ancient Egypt of legend when you hear all these stories that took place in Egypt. And then from Egypt, from as we fell, as because you had the Cherokee, all them going around that time, but this was still considered Egypt. So you had your Cherokee, all these different tribes, Aztecs, all that. But any tribe that was still in North America with 3 Ks, you was just a tribe in Egypt. All right, that's what they want people to know. And then from as we continue to fall from that Egyptian state, then because the Egyptians was one of the more powerful of the tribes with much more of the advanced metaphysical information and sorcery. So this is why they talk about the Egyptians like that. You know what I'm saying? But they was one of the tribes. They was one of the more advanced tribes. You get what I'm saying? That was around at that time that retained a lot of the information from when we was all in the Mississippian state. So the Egyptians had like a little separate moment, wasn't that quite long, where they was just a little more advanced with the information. But remember, we couldn't communicate with. So if you was in the Cherokee tribe, you could communicate with what's supposed to be the tribe of Egypt, because the tribe of Egypt was right there in present day Illinois and all up through there, that they like to call the Cahokia Mounds. That was where the like Illinois and going into Memphis and Mississippi, what they call Mississippi, like all of that was like basically, what they was calling Egypt. You get what I'm saying? That little section. And the whole thing was still ancient Egypt, but that was more like the capital, reworded the capital. You get what I'm saying? Of ancient Egypt, that little section. And then as we fell from that Egyptian state, the Cherokee still was the Cherokee. They went after, from Mississippian state, they went after the Egyptians first. The Egyptians, because they had think of the Black Panthers, how they had all that technology. The Egyptians had all the technology that they retained from us being Mississippians. So they went after them first. You still had the Cherokee and all these other tribes, but after they went at the Egyptians, right? Then what happened, who they was labeling the Egyptians, right? Then, or the headquarters spot of the Egyptian, then what they did was they started attacking the other tribes. So then Egypt is removed. What they call Egypt is removed. Then they turn the land they start calling it North America, and it wasn't even North America. Yeah, it wasn't even North America yet. You had all these they little settlements, they little settlements that they were setting up. This is why, like you hear about the 13 colonies, right? They speak about that, right? They taught us about that because it was in that state where they was taking this land strictly. We talk about North America 3Ks. They was taking this landmass from North America and turning it into it was just the 13 colonies. They was turning this land of ancient Egypt, aka Mississippian territory, into North America. And then once it became North America, that's when they came with their maps. That's what all the wars was about. It was always about them getting the land, and a lot of this land was important. Because on the realm, remember, Georgia, if you go way back past the Mississippian state, Georgia, it was the capital of Atlantis. So North America, what they call North America, has always been one of the most powerful, energetic land points on the entire realm. Remember, all these continents is all part of the realm. They all connected. Remember, I told you, don't know water separate us. It's water around us, but we one big landmass. So
what's the real map then? If all of them's connected, and what they show?
Yeah. What I'm saying is that's the map. You got to envision that in your head, because I don't have nobody to draw it out for me right now. So all I can do is tell it to you. They ain't gonna show you that on Google. When you look on Google, they're gonna show you that all these different continents and that we separated by water. So that's why I'm giving you the visual when I say imagine all the land connected and it's just water, a big pool of water around all the land. You get what I'm saying? That's how our map looked with Antarctica encircling us in the inside. Like a ring. So this is what the clock comes from. The clock is an example of how the land look. The clock on the wall is the example. The circle is just standing up. You got to lay it down. When you lay it down, you know what I'm saying?
You just typing like
that's crazy. That's how I think of it too.
Yeah. So it's like when we was, that's why I say to see the map, you got to understand that that's why they was fighting so hard, because like Russia, what they call in Russia and Asia and even Africa is not more powerful than the landmass, or Canada, none of that. None of the parts that they call in these places today is more powerful than North America. If it was, they wouldn't have made it their headquarters. You get what I'm saying? They came and made the USA their headquarters. The USA has been what? The most powerful country in their matrix, right? So that lets you know, why isn't it Great Britain? And Great Britain is the fucking headquarter for them, right? The motherfuckers who run everything is the royal family. They in Britain. So why would they use North America to be its big major USA company with the biggest army and the biggest, right? Because the land, the power in the land, right? This part they had to patrol. They patrol this part the hardest. This is what they call their headquarters. The USA is the world power. So America is in the US, this right here in this land. This they headquarters. You get what I'm saying? That's why Malcolm said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Because when they landed on the realm and entered our portals entered our planet through portals in the Caucasus Mountains, they had their eyes on this set particular part of because they looking at energy points to drain resources. So that's why we was the Atlantean state and we was Mississippians. Everything was Mississippi. It was all Mississippian territory. And then boom, it became ancient Egypt of legend. And they only telling you that because the Egyptians had so much technology. You still had the Cherokee, the Sioux, all these other tribes. They was already around at the same time of the Egyptians. Zulu, all that. But they make them seem like them different moments in history and different civilizations when they was all here at the same time. So yeah, Shaka Zulu, they was here at the same time when they telling us stories about fucking King Tut. This is why they can go dig up fucking mummies and they still bodies still look in par. If ain't no motherfucker now, when he died 100,000 years ago, but they wrapped him in a certain way to retain him. No, he ain't been in the ground that long. That's why not as long as we think. You see what I'm saying? So we definitely, like, from after they took care of the Egyptians, right? Got us from that vibration. Then they started going at the Cherokee. And that's when all that was going on in Cherokee. And then the Cherokee got broken up into the Seminoles, right? And a lot of other Cherokee people died, and others went this way and went that way. And then there's all these other tribes. It's just a bunch of tribes. You feel me?
Was that the Haitian Revolution too?
Look, so yeah, even with the Haitian Revolution, so the Haitian Revolution took place during the point of the tribes. So when you got the Cherokee and the Seminoles fighting them, yes, you got the Haitians, what they call in the Haitians, you got what they call that revolution going on too. All that was going on at the same time with them tribes. The Zulu wars, along with the Haitian Revolution, along with Marie Laveau and Louisiana working her magic, because Marie Laveau got a sister named Queen Annie, and they really both was all on this landmass. Queen Annie was the one fighting in what they call Jamaica. You get what I'm saying? Like, all that energy of that era was all at the same time. But they don't tell us that. They got us thinking like these was all separate incidents, and then they disguise them under little mini revolutions. Oh, this happened, that happened, that happened. But it's way deeper than that with this one landmass. And back then we knew that. So we fully understood what the fuck was going on. It ain't like now where we gotta remember, like, oh, so all the land connected, and really it ain't no water to separate us from Africa or none of that. No, we all one landmass. And where Europe is at was like the dead part of the land. Like, we didn't use it to do nothing. We hadn't fertilized it, so nothing grew there. It was always, nothing was ever there. So this is why when they came and they was acting, we see how savage these human beings was originally. We sent their ass off to Europe. You get what I'm saying? That part of the land is when they came out the caves, we put them in that part of the land and we said, stay right there. This is your rope. This is where the term Europe comes from. They'll tell you that Europe comes from a Queen named Europa or Greek mythology. No, Europe originally, the ancient reason why we said it was Europe is because we told they ass, do not cross this area. This is your rope. This is your rope. This is your border. And they tell you about that story in their Bible. I told people the Bible is their creation story. The whole Bible is the human being's creation story. So when they talking about, oh, they were cast out, you get what I'm saying? They were cast out and they walked away, wandered around the desert for 40 years trying to find the promised land. They talking about when their ass was set in that location after we tried to civilize them and we said they couldn't be civilized originally. We set them in that location until the Moors until we selected a group of us called the Moors, who eventually came along, and their job was to civilize them because we had already tried to put them in a certain state and they was just too beastly. We like, They was on Neanderthal time. That's what they really was. So it was like, all right, well, look, y'all go sit right here. And it was in that state where they was barbaric and they was savages and they was eating each other. This is why they don't mind eating flesh to this day, because back then they used to eat each other flesh. They the original cannibals. So, and I say that with all due respect, you know, that ain't